Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. Today's video is extra super exciting because we are talking about a new Natasha Denona collection released, one which was leaked on her own website last night, and I took screenshots. I paid attention to what was coming out, and in today's video I want to talk about it with you. So Trendwood posted last night about the Natasha Denona Golden collection. I immediately started getting some messages from you guys about it. Here is what the actual collection looks like. As you can see, there is a Midi eyeshadow palette, the Golden Midi eyeshadow palette. There is a cheek trio which has 3 different shades of highlighter, and there is also a lip gloss type product. Whenever this comes out, it hasn't officially been announced yet. The Golden eyeshadow palette is going to retail for $69. The Golden cheek trio is going to retail for $55. And the Golden shimmer gloss will retail for $29. Now, as you guys know, I do have a Natasha Denona affiliate code. The code is PATTY15. So whenever this collection launches, you can use my code PATTY15 to save 15% off of everything that you order, be it this new collection or anything on the Natasha Denona website. Code PATTY15 will always save you 15% off anything you buy there, which is amazing. I don't get sent Natasha Denona PR packages or anything like that, so usually I use my own code whenever I shop the Natasha Denona website. Always get 15% off, and you can use the code as many times as you would like to. Now, I always love to read the comments on Trendwood, and I was intrigued to see what people were saying about this collection, mainly because I wanted to know if we were excited about it. Personally, I am. I think the palette looks incredible, but I wanted to know what other people were thinking. And in the comments section, people were saying that you needed a special password. That website was asking you for a special password in order to be able to order this collection, obviously, because it hasn't been announced and it was a glitch. And then under some of those comments, somebody was saying that if you had a computer or a laptop on the actual computer, you could just quick add to cart without actually opening the product, because the opening of the product was what was asking for a password. So you could quick add to cart and check out. And I tried it. It did not let me use any discount codes because it was a glitch. But I tried it and I think it went through. I got an order confirmation. I have not gotten a shipping notification or anything yet, so I don't know if they're going to cancel my order or if they're actually going to send me the products a little early. I am hoping that hopefully they'll send me the products a little early so that I can film and upload this review for you. I am 37.5 weeks pregnant right now, so I don't know when this baby is coming out. It could be any time, right? So I'm hoping I get the products as soon as possible so that I can get this content out to you before Miss Evelyn is here. Anyways, the story doesn't end here. I have personally been saying for the longest time, Natasha Denona needs to release a smaller version, a midi size version of the gold palette, which has been discontinued for years now. And this gold palette right here has been a #1 favorite Natasha Denona palette for me. Ever since I've had it, I have created a 5 looks 1 palette with this one. I have named it one of my #1 palettes every holiday season in a row for years now. It is a fantastic, fantastic palette. I absolutely love it. One of my top most favorite palettes in my collection, and it has not been sold for years, right? So at first glance, when I saw the golden palette last night, I immediately didn't see any teals or anything like that in there, so I knew it wasn't a small version of this one, right? Like, this is a different palette. However, upon further review this morning, when I was actually awake and paying attention, I realized a lot of the shades are from here. A lot of these shades are the same. So in today's video, I wanted to, of course, tell you guys the chisme, the leak that happened, show you the products that I saw on the Natasha Denona website that are hopefully going to be announced very soon and that are also hopefully coming out very soon, right? But besides that, I wanted to swatch the shades that are in this gold palette that I think we'll also be able to see in the golden palette, so that you guys can have an idea of what is coming. And if you have this one, if you happen to be lucky enough to have this one, whether or not you're going to need the new one. So let's get into it. And this is going to be a little hard and a little tricky because, as I said, the website didn't let you open the product to see any details. So we have a very pixelated picture to go off of, but I feel like I can figure this out, okay? So the first product is called, I think, Miko, M-I-K-O, Milko maybe? I don't know, but that specific shade is not a shade from the gold palette right here. It kind of resembles this shade right here in the middle, which is called Sparks, but that word is not Sparks, so it's not this one. However, it does look like a light pearlescent shimmer shade. I'm not going to swatch Sparks because it's not the same color, so let's move on to the next one. The next color looks to be a beautiful golden shimmer, and the shade name looks something like maybe Nubia, N-U-B-I-A, if the pixelation does not deceive me. And that is also none of the shimmer shades from the original gold palette. These shimmer golds are all called something very different from Nubia, if that's the name of that. Third shade in this new palette is also a shimmer champagne type gold, not as glittery as the previous one. The shade name looks to be something like Pona or Pana, P-A-N-A, and that is also not one of the shades in the gold palette, but the next shade is. We're getting there. So far the first three shades from the golden palette you will not find in the original gold palette. The fourth shade, however, is a matte transition-y type shade called Arya, and Arya is a color from the gold palette. Now, one of my favorite things from this original gold palette is this row of mattes right here and that one. And I can tell you, spoiler alert, every single one of these mattes is in the golden palette. So let's start with Arya and swatch it for you. Arya is this shade up here, which happens to be positioned in the exact same place in the golden palette as in this one. So take a look right here at this beautiful creamy matte called Arya. It is a stunning neutral mid-tone beigey brown type of color. And by the way, I am of course wearing my gold palette today. Majority of the shades on my eyes, I think all of them except for one, are going to be part of the golden palette. So I wanted to of course bring it out and play with it because I was so excited to film today's video. Last shimmer on the first row of the new golden palette, I think is called Fiery. That's what the pixelated letters kind of look like to me, and it is another beautiful golden shimmer shade, also not one you can find in the original gold palettes. Moving on to row number 2, the first shade is this beautiful brown shimmer called Veris. It's like a bronzy brown type shimmer, and Veris is one of the shades in the gold palette. It is this one right here, so let's go ahead and swatch it. So we have our second repeat shade, Veris, right here, which is this stunning brown, bronzy, super creamy shimmer. Also, another advantage, I would say the main advantage of this golden palette being released is that this is a midi size palette that is going to cost you $69 versus the original gold palette right here, which was $130 at the time. Besides the fact that it's been discontinued, you know, but also that you're going to be able to get these shades for a much more affordable price. Row number 2, second shade is a pearlescent type color. I think it's going to be a shimmer, but don't quote me on that. And it is called Aura. I feel very positive about the name of this one, pixelation and all. And Aura is not one of the shades that you can find in the gold palette. Row number 2, shade 3, is another matte mid-tone brown shade, and this one is called Teak. And Teak is one of the shades from the original gold palette. It is this color right down here. So let's go ahead and swatch it. Super creamy, of course, and take a look, it's a little darker than Arya, which we already swatched. Row number 2, shade 4, it looks like the name of this gold shimmer shade is called Cava, and Cava is the main gold shade that I'm wearing on my eyelids today, which as you can see is beautiful. and it is this gold sparkly color right here. This one is very ethereal. It doesn't have a strong gold base to it. It's so beautiful. So take a look right here at the shade Cava. Stunning in my opinion, very reflective, absolutely beautiful. Moving on to row number 2, shade 5, which is another matte shade, and it is called Sandstone. Sandstone is also in this palette. It's this color right down here, so let's go ahead and swatch it. This one is a bit of a warmer matte color, but not too warm. So check it out right here, take a look at Sandstone swatched. I love the mattes from the original gold palette, so I have no complaints. Also, make sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say about this video and the new golden palette and the fact that it's so similar to the original gold palette and all of that good stuff. Moving on to the third row and the first shimmer on row number 3, I think maybe, it's very pixelated, but I think maybe is called Orum. Maybe that's a lower capital A that I see up there. There is an Orum shade in the original gold palette, which I am going to swatch for you in case it is this one, but I think they look kind of different. Like from the picture, I feel like that first shade in the third row from the golden palette looks a bit different from the Orum in the original gold palette. So I'm not sure if they're the same, but if they're not, they're called very similar names. And I think that they might be the same shade because all of the colors in the golden palette are spelled without any capital letters in it. And so I think that is a lowercase a. Anyways, here is the shade Orum from the original gold palette, which is a beautiful gold shimmer that does not have a lot of sparkle. It's like a regular type shimmer shade. Row number 3, shade 2, is the shade called Log. And that shade was what gave it away for me that it was going to be the same as the one in this palette, because I remembered this one is called Log without having to look at it. And Log is a stunning neutral dark matte color. Neutral to cool tone, I would say. It's a beautiful, beautiful shade to darken up any look. Row number 3, shade 3, I believe that says Oro. Oro means gold in Spanish, probably maybe in other languages as well. So O-R-O. And if that is the name of that shade, we do have an Oro shade on the gold palette as well, which is this shade right here in the center. Is a very strong yellow gold type color. I put a bit of it right here on the outer part of my eye and then proceeded to cover it with some Cava because I thought it was too intense. Anyways, here is the shade Oro from the original gold palette. See, it's a very bright yellow shimmer. I think that might be the same Oro that we might get in the new golden palette, but again, your guess is as good as mine. Row number 3, shade 4, I believe I can make out the word maybe flesh from the name of that shade. It's a very, very light neutral to cool tone sand transition shade type color, and it's definitely not a shade that I am finding in the gold palette at all. It looks lighter than the color Arya, which we already swatched. This was the first swatch right here. It looks like an even lighter, more transition-y type color than the shade Arya right here. So we don't have that matte color in this palette at all. And then last but certainly not least, row number 3, shade 5, I'm pretty sure that says Alchemist. And Alchemist is a gold shade from the original gold palette right here. It is this one right down here at the bottom. So let's go ahead and swatch it. By the way, I am of course counting on the shades that are named the same to look the same. We will make that comparison once my palette arrives, because she might have named the shades the same names and they might have different formulas. I certainly don't know. I would hope they have the same formula if they have the same name. But again, the gold palette has been long discontinued, so I don't know if the formulas or the shades or the names have changed, you know? Anyways, here is the shade Alchemist swatched right here. And so out of 15 shades that the new golden palette has in it, we have 9 already existing shades, if they are the same, in the original gold palette right here. Mostly this section of the palette here is kind of similar. We definitely don't have any of these greenish golds or these teal shades or this mustard kind of brown in here. These are not going to be found in the new golden palette. It's more so these very neutral beigey browns and the golden shades. So again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. I'm very excited to receive my golden palette. If they ship it to me from my order that I placed last night, we'll see. They might cancel that. Anyways, these are the 9 shades that I found are named the same as the shades in the original gold palette right here. And I'm really hoping that they are, honestly, because the shades in this palette are incredible. I also cannot wait to have the new golden palette in my hands so that I can try the 6 shades that are different from this one. I'm very intrigued about the pearlescent white shades in the golden palette, as well as that beautiful transition color called Flesh, I believe, that we don't have in this one. Is Flesh a transition shade? She already has though. I just opened some of my palettes that I thought might have similar shades in there, and I didn't see any of the ones that I'm missing. So these are the 9 shades so far that we have, again, from the discontinued gold palette that might be in the new golden palette. As I said, I'm very excited about this release. I cannot wait to try not just the palette, but also the gloss. Looks very promising. And I'm excited about the cheek palette as well, although I know that not all of the shades are going to work for me. Again, I don't know when this collection is being announced or being released, but whenever it does happen, feel free to use my code PATTY15 to save 15% off of your Natasha Denona purchase. And that is all I have for today's video. I cannot wait to read your guys' comments. Don't forget, if you like the video, to give it a thumbs up so that YouTube shows it to more people. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.